This morning I'm actually having a little bit of mid-roast coffee, and in case you don't know, I'm a dark roast guy. I love dark roast, and mid-roast, it's okay, but not as good as dark roast, but it'll do. What's going on, everybody? I'm Jake the Lawn Kid. Welcome back to another weekend in the lawn. In today's video, I'm going to tell you 3 things that you can do to take advantage of the warm spell that we're having in the midst of winter. With all that being said, let's get into the video. So speaking of warm spell, we've had an unusually warm winter so far. As a matter of fact, end of December, beginning of January here, we've had temperatures as high as 40 to 50 degrees. And because of that, things are unusually lively right now. It's very warm outside. The ground is soft. The ground is malleable. I'm actually seeing a little bit of plant sprouting happening outside. Is that the word you use for that? Plant sprouting, plant sprouting, whatever. Anyway, the point is, things are coming to life right now, and they shouldn't be. What I want to do today is I want to go ahead and provide you guys a couple of things that you can do to take advantage of this time while it's warm outside and lively, so that you can get ready for that first hard snow that is yet to come at some point this winter. Which brings me to the first thing I recommend you do, and that is going to be winterize your equipment if you haven't already. It's very important that you do this right, because if you don't, that can lead to potential long-term damage for your lawn care equipment. Now, when it comes to winterizing your lawn equipment, there are so many different ways that people recommend doing it out there. Now, I'm not here to tell you that I'm a professional with equipment by any means. As a matter of fact, I am not mechanically inclined, not one bit, but based on what I've been seeing by doing my own research, I believe the best way to winterize your lawn equipment is to put some stabilizer in the tank and fill it up with as much fuel as you can to avoid condensation. Now, the reason I wanted to preface that is because there's a ton of videos out in the community that just say, okay, winter's coming, run your equipment dry and you should be fine. Well, based on what I've been seeing, like I mentioned a couple of seconds ago, that is not the way to go, because what can happen is if you run your equipment dry, you're more likely going to have water condensating into your tank, and that's basically water getting into your fuel line, and that's going to cause problems in the spring when you go to start it. It's going to be harder to start, right? So what I recommend you do, as well as all of the other engine pros out there, is get some stabilizer. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's stable or a $5 generic that you find at Home Depot. Stabilizer is stabilizer. Mix it in your gas can according to labeled directions. Make sure you agitate it good. Fill your lawnmower gas tank all the way to the top. And once you've done that, go ahead and run it through the engine for a good 5 minutes to get some circulation through the motor. And once you've done that, you should be good with your winterizing, and you'll be able to move on to number 2. The second thing I recommend you do, if you haven't already, is make sure that you get any debris off of the lawn before the next snow. Now, when I say debris, I'm talking about one thing in particular, and that is going to be leaves. Leaves are a big nuisance this time of the year on the lawn. As a matter of fact, I've actually done a video that explains a little more in depth why I believe this, as well as 4 different strategies that you can use to clear the lawn of leaves. As I mentioned in that video, leaves are very beneficial because they can contribute to adding more organic material to your soil, which is a plus, but they can also affect your lawn in a negative way if they're not taken care of properly, meaning that you just let them accumulate on the lawn in big piles like they normally do. When the snow comes in, that can actually bear unwanted weight onto the turf, which can result in the crowns of the grass plants being crushed, and when you crush the crowns of the grass plant, that grass plant is going to die. Now, that's not something that we want to happen, so we want to make sure that we eradicate the leaves as soon soon as we can. Now, as far as eradication, like I mentioned earlier in the video, there are 4 different strategies that you can use to clear the leaves off the lawn. You can bag them up, mulch them down, rake them in, or blow them out. Use any one of those 4 strategies and you'll be able to get those leaves off the lawn fast. The third and final thing I recommend you do, now this one is actually going to be optional for those of you guys, but I highly recommend you do it as long as conditions permit, as it will benefit you greatly in the long run, and that is going to be a soil application. That's right, a soil application. Now, I already know what's coming. A lot of you guys are going to be like, Jake, why would you think about putting any fertilizer applications on your lawn at this time when it's dormant? Didn't you say no fertilizing when the lawn's dormant? Yes, I did, but I want you guys to realize that what I'm about to recommend you here is not so much of a fertilizer, but more so a soil-oriented treatment, right? It's not really meant for the good of the grass, but it's more meant for the good of the soil in nurturing that soil so that we can get it optimized to the best of its ability so that it can structure the plant. Because what I want you to realize is that when we put this into perspective and look at it a little bit deeper, just because the lawn is dormant and sleeping doesn't necessarily mean that the soil is sleeping. As a matter of fact, the soil never sleeps. So it's a good idea in the off season to take advantage of that and optimize the soil to the best of its ability so that it can be a better base, if you will, for your existing lawn. And this actually brings me to a product that we all know and love from the Greene County n-ext fertility line, and that is going to be Humic 12. Humic 12 is a strictly soil-oriented app. It's a chelator. It's going to make nutrients more readily available to the plant when it wakes up, and on top of that, it's just overall going to make a better habitat for existing grass. You can apply this anywhere from 6 to 9 ounces per 1,000 square feet. As far as what you got to do after application, that really depends on your means of application. If you're doing it with a backpack sprayer, I highly recommend you water it in for a good 5 minutes to get it down into the soil. Whereas on the other hand, if you're doing it with a hose end sprayer, you don't necessarily have to water it in because the hose end is hooked up to your hose. It's really watering it in as you apply it. So what I would recommend though is if you are using a hose end sprayer, go over it a couple of times with the product in the tank, and then once you get all the product out of the tank, go over it again with just raw water to get that product down into the soil so that it could start doing its job and building that soil base for the spring that is to come. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and I'll show you how to get the deepest, darkest, greenest, thickest lawn on the block. I'm Jake the Lawn Kid. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. If I don't see you guys next time, your lawn is gonna be dominated. See you later. Benefit you in the long term. Now, there is one product in particular that I recommend for this, and that is going to be the Humic 12 product from my good friends over at Greene County Fertilizer, their n-ext fertility line. I am all over the place today. Where are we at? The second thing I recommend you do, if you haven't done it already, hang on a second, am I in focus? Let me go ahead and let me give it a couple of minutes. Blooper. Bloop, 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 bloop. I'm having way too much fun.